kindness is a beautiful and powerful trait. It's something the world needs more of, and it is often celebrated as one of the highest virtues. However, when kindness is extended without boundaries, it can become detrimental, leading to a cycle of self-sacrifice that leaves you drained, emotionally exhausted, and even resentful. There's an unspoken danger in giving too much too often without taking care of your own needs and well-being. Imagine being the person who is always willing to help. Friends and family know that they can count on you no matter the situation. If someone is in need, you're the first to offer your time, energy, and resources. While that may seem admirable, over time, this constant giving can come at a significant personal cost if it's not balanced with self-care and healthy boundaries. Slowly, you may start to feel worn out, as though the weight of other people's problems is sitting on your shoulders. You may even notice that people begin to take your kindness for granted, expecting your help without considering the impact it has on you. This kind of one-sided giving can be emotionally draining. It's common for those who are naturally kind to prioritize the needs of others over their own. They often find themselves saying yes when they really want to say no out of fear of disappointing others or being seen as selfish. Over time, the constant suppression of your own needs in favor of others can lead to feelings of burnout and emotional fatigue. And it's not just about physical exhaustion, it's a deep sense of being overwhelmed by always having to be there for everyone else without anyone reciprocating or asking how you're doing. When kindness has no boundaries, it also invites a lack of respect for your personal limits. People may unknowingly or even knowingly begin to take advantage of your generous nature. The more you give, the more they may expect from you. They might assume that you'll always be available to solve their problems or offer assistance without ever stopping to ask if you're okay or if you need help yourself. This kind of imbalance can strain relationships, creating a dynamic where you are constantly in the role of giver and others are only in the position of takers. One of the most painful consequences of unbounded kindness is the gradual erosion of your own sense of self-worth. You may begin to tie your value to how much you give or how much you can do for others. The more you give, the more you might feel that your worth is directly related to being useful or helpful to those around you. This can create an unhealthy cycle of dependency, where your self-esteem is rooted in external validation from others rather than a strong internal sense of self. In this way, your acts of kindness can lead to self-sacrifice, where you give so much of yourself that you start to lose sight of who you are and what you need to thrive. It's essential to understand that true kindness does not require you to be a martyr. You don't need to sacrifice your own well-being to prove that you care about others. In fact, when kindness is practiced without limits, it can lead to resentment, frustration, and even a sense of bitterness toward the very people you are trying to help. You may find yourself feeling resentful that no one is there for you in the way you've been there for them. This feeling can be compounded by the realization that your acts of kindness were not appreciated or reciprocated. To prevent this, it's important to establish boundaries. Healthy boundaries do not make you less kind, they make you more effective in your kindness. By setting clear limits on what you're able to give, you're protecting your energy and your emotional well-being. You're also teaching others to respect your time and your needs. It's okay to say no sometimes. In fact, saying no is a powerful way to honor yourself and ensure that you're not constantly giving from an empty cup. Self-sacrifice may seem noble, but over time, it's unsustainable. When you continuously put others first at the expense of your own needs, you eventually reach a point where you have nothing left to give. This is why it's crucial to balance kindness with self-compassion. You can still be a generous and caring person while also taking care of yourself. In fact, when you prioritize your own well-being, you're able to show up as the best version of yourself for others. You can offer your help and support from a place of abundance rather than depletion. Kindness should be a shared experience, not a one-sided endeavor. It's about creating mutual respect and understanding in relationships. When kindness flows both ways, it strengthens the bond between people and fosters a deeper sense of connection. But when it's only one person giving and the other taking, it leads to an unhealthy dynamic that can harm both parties in the long run. Ultimately, kindness with boundaries is sustainable kindness. It's a way to care for others while also caring for yourself. It allows you to give generously without losing yourself in the process. Remember, you cannot pour from an empty cup. To continue being the kind and compassionate person you are, you must first fill your own cup so that you can give to others from a place of fullness and strength, not from a place of exhaustion or resentment. By recognizing the need for boundaries and balancing kindness with self-care, you can transform your acts of kindness from self-sacrifice to acts of empowerment, both for yourself and for those around you. Being effective in life requires more than just being kind. It means aligning your kindness with purpose. Kindness, when directed with intention, becomes a powerful tool for change, both in your life and the lives of others. While kindness is often seen as a passive act, something gentle, soft, or even easy, it can actually be one of the most profound and purposeful forces in the world when paired with clarity and intention. At its core, kindness is about empathy and compassion. It's about understanding the struggles of others and offering support, comfort, or assistance. But there's a difference between random acts of kindness and acts of kindness that are intentional and aligned with a clear purpose. Random acts of kindness, while beautiful and uplifting, may not always lead to the long-term change we hope to create. Purpose-driven kindness, on the other hand, considers the broader impact of those actions, ensuring that they are not only kind but also effective. When you align kindness with purpose, you begin to see it as an active choice rather than a passive reaction. You start asking yourself, what is the greater goal behind this act of kindness? How can this action contribute to something larger than just a momentary act? This shift in perspective elevates kindness from a feel-good gesture to a deliberate force for growth, improvement, and transformation. One of the key ways to align kindness with purpose is through self-awareness. You must be mindful of why you are being kind and what you hope to achieve with your kindness. Are you being kind because you want to avoid conflict or because you genuinely believe that kindness is the most effective way to bring about change? Sometimes people use kindness as a way to avoid difficult conversations or challenging situations, thinking that by being nice they can skirt around conflict, but that's not always productive. True kindness sometimes requires tough love, saying things that may be uncomfortable in the moment but ultimately lead to growth and healing. For instance, in personal relationships, it's easy to be kind by always agreeing or always being the peacemaker. But being effective in a relationship often means having difficult conversations, setting boundaries, or providing constructive feedback. It may feel kinder in the moment to avoid these uncomfortable situations, but in the long run, avoiding them can cause more harm than good. Being effective means being willing to do the hard work, being kind, not only when it's easy, but when it's necessary to help the other person or the relationship grow. Another important aspect of aligning kindness with purpose is understanding your own capacity. You cannot pour from an empty cup. If you are constantly giving without taking time to replenish yourself, your kindness will eventually become hollow. True kindness comes from a place of abundance, not scarcity. This means taking care of yourself first so that you can genuinely give to others. If you're exhausted, emotionally drained, or overwhelmed, your acts of kindness will be less effective, and you may even begin to feel resentment toward those you're trying to help. By prioritizing self-care, you ensure that your kindness remains authentic and purposeful, rather than performative or obligatory. Purpose-driven kindness also means recognizing the difference between helping and enabling. Sometimes, in an effort to be kind, we inadvertently enable others to continue behaviors that are harmful to themselves or others. For example, always bailing someone out of a difficult situation may feel like kindness, but it can prevent them from learning valuable lessons or taking responsibility for their own actions. In this case, true kindness would be to step back and allow the person to face the consequences of their choices, even if it's painful to watch. Aligning kindness with purpose means thinking about the long-term impact of your actions, not just the immediate gratification of being seen as nice. In professional settings, aligning kindness with purpose can be transformative. Leadership, for instance, often requires balancing kindness with accountability. A kind leader isn't one who lets their team do whatever they want. It's someone who provides clear expectations, offers support, and holds people accountable for their actions. This type of leadership fosters growth and respect, as it shows that kindness doesn't mean lowering standards or avoiding tough decisions. Instead, it means creating an environment where people feel valued and supported while also being pushed to achieve their full potential. Finally, aligning kindness with purpose involves being selective about where and how you direct your kindness. You can't solve everyone's problems, and you shouldn't feel obligated to try. It's important to discern when your kindness will truly make a difference and when it might be wasted or even harmful. This doesn't mean being unkind or withholding compassion, but it does mean being strategic. By focusing your kindness on situations where it can have the most impact, you can amplify its effects and create meaningful change. For example, if you're involved in social justice or community work, it's not enough to just be kind to those in need. Purpose-driven kindness in these contexts means taking the time to understand the root causes of inequality or suffering and using your kindness to address those systemic issues. It might involve volunteering your time, donating resources, or advocating for policy changes. This is kindness with a purpose, kindness that seeks to not only ease immediate pain, but to create lasting change. In conclusion, being kind is an admirable trait, but being effectively kind requires more. It demands self-awareness, intentionality, and a clear sense of purpose. It's about being mindful of why you're being kind and ensuring that your actions lead to meaningful outcomes. Whether in personal relationships, professional settings, or broader societal issues, aligning kindness with purpose turns a simple act of compassion into a powerful tool for transformation. So be kind, but more importantly, be effective in your kindness. Let your kindness serve a greater purpose, and watch how it transforms not just the lives of others, but your own as well. Setting boundaries to protect your energy is one of the most empowering acts of self-care. It's about knowing your limits, understanding where your energy should go, and making intentional choices to preserve your emotional, mental, and physical well-being. Many people struggle with the concept of boundaries, fearing that setting them might come across as selfish or unkind. However, boundaries are essential for maintaining balance in our lives and for sustaining healthy relationships, both with ourselves and with others. When you set boundaries, you're not shutting people out, you're creating a clear space where mutual respect can thrive. Boundaries define what is acceptable and unacceptable behavior, and they help others understand how to interact with you in a way that is healthy and respectful. Without boundaries, people may unknowingly take advantage of your time, energy, and emotional resources, leaving you feeling depleted and overwhelmed. By establishing and maintaining boundaries, you take control of your own well-being and ensure that you have the energy to invest in the things that matter most to you. One of the key aspects of setting boundaries is recognizing that your energy is finite. You only have so much mental, emotional, and physical capacity to give, and if you're constantly giving without replenishing, you will eventually burn out. When you're clear about your boundaries, you protect your energy by only giving what you can afford to give. This means learning to say no without guilt or apology when you need to. Saying no can be difficult, especially if you're used to being a people pleaser or if you fear disappointing others. But it's important to remember that every time you say yes to something that drains your energy, you are saying no to something that could nourish it. Setting boundaries also means being intentional about the people you surround yourself with. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Some people, whether intentionally or not, drain your energy through constant negativity, unrealistic demands, or toxic behaviors. These energy vampires can leave you feeling exhausted, anxious, or frustrated. By setting boundaries, you can limit your exposure to these individuals and protect your energy from being consumed by their negativity. This might involve reducing the amount of time you spend with them, being clear about what you will and won't tolerate, or in some cases, cutting ties completely. Boundaries are also crucial in the workplace. Many people struggle to set boundaries in their professional lives, often taking on too much work or staying late because they don't want to seem uncommitted or uncooperative. However, constantly overextending yourself in the workplace can lead to burnout, resentment, and decreased productivity. By setting clear boundaries at work, such as not checking emails after a certain hour or being clear about your workload, you protect your energy and ensure that you can show up as your best self both in and outside of work. This not only benefits you, but also your employer, as you're more likely to be productive and engaged when you're not feeling overwhelmed. Another important aspect of setting boundaries to protect your energy is learning to communicate your needs effectively. It's not enough to just set boundaries internally, you need to express them to the people around you. This can be uncomfortable at first, especially if you're not used to advocating for yourself. However, clear and respectful communication is key to maintaining healthy boundaries. When communicating your boundaries, it's important to be direct but kind. For example, instead of saying, "You're always asking too much of me," you might say, "I've noticed that I've been feeling overwhelmed lately, so I'm going to need to take a step back and prioritize my own well-being." It's also important to remember that setting boundaries is not a one-time thing. Boundaries need to be continuously reassessed and adjusted as your circumstances change. What worked for you a year ago might not work for you now, and that's okay. Be flexible with your boundaries, but don't compromise them to the point where they no longer serve you. Setting boundaries is a dynamic process, and it requires regular self-reflection to ensure that they continue to protect your energy and support your well-being. Self-care is another essential component of setting boundaries to protect your energy. Boundaries are not just about keeping out what drains you, they're also about making space for what nourishes you. This means prioritizing activities that recharge your energy, whether that's spending time in nature, practicing mindfulness, engaging in creative pursuits, or simply resting. By creating boundaries around your self-care time, you ensure that you're consistently replenishing your energy and showing up as your best self in all areas of your life. In relationships, boundaries help foster mutual respect and understanding. When you set boundaries with loved ones, you're teaching them how to treat you and showing them that your well-being matters. This doesn't mean shutting people out or avoiding intimacy. Rather, it means creating a healthy balance where you can give and receive love and support without feeling depleted. Boundaries in relationships might involve things like setting limits on how much time you spend together, being clear about your emotional needs, or establishing guidelines for how you want to be treated. When boundaries are in place, relationships become healthier, more balanced, and more fulfilling. It's also important to recognize that boundaries are not just external, they're internal as well. Internal boundaries are the limits you set with yourself to protect your energy. This might involve managing your self-talk, reframing negative thoughts, or setting limits on how much time you spend worrying about things that are beyond your control. Internal boundaries are about taking responsibility for your own well-being and making choices that support your mental and emotional health. By setting internal boundaries, you protect your energy from being consumed by stress, anxiety, or self-doubt. In conclusion, setting boundaries to protect your energy is an act of self-love and self-preservation. It's about knowing your worth, valuing your well-being, and making intentional choices that support your mental, emotional, and physical health. Boundaries are not about being selfish or shutting people out. They're about creating space for yourself to thrive. By setting and maintaining boundaries, you ensure that your energy is directed towards what truly matters and that you have the capacity to show up fully in all areas of your life. Focusing on effectiveness rather than people-pleasing is one of the most liberating and transformative shifts you can make in your life. It's the difference between living your life based on your values, goals, and vision versus constantly seeking validation, approval, and acceptance from others. People-pleasing can be an exhausting habit that ultimately drains your energy, compromises your integrity, and diminishes your effectiveness. By prioritizing effectiveness over the desire to please, you reclaim control over your actions and decisions, allowing yourself to make meaningful progress in your personal and professional life. People-pleasing often stems from a deep-seated need for external approval, a desire to be liked, or a fear of rejection. While it may seem harmless or even virtuous to want to make others happy, the habit of constantly putting others' needs ahead of your own can lead to burnout, frustration, and a sense of dissatisfaction. It's important to recognize that you cannot please everyone all the time. Trying to do so will leave you feeling overwhelmed and spread too thin. The key to breaking free from the cycle of people-pleasing is to shift your focus towards effectiveness, towards what truly matters and what aligns with your values and long-term goals. Effectiveness is about making choices that move you forward, that contribute to your growth, and that have a meaningful impact. When you focus on effectiveness, you make decisions based on what's important rather than what will keep others happy in the short term. This requires clarity of purpose and a strong sense of self-awareness. It's about knowing what you want, what you need, and what you are willing to invest your time and energy into. Effectiveness is not about doing more, it's about doing what matters most and doing it well. To focus on effectiveness, you need to develop the ability to say no when necessary. People pleasers often have difficulty saying no because they fear disappointing others or being seen as uncooperative. However, saying no is not a rejection of others, it's a powerful affirmation of your own priorities. When you say no to things that don't align with your goals or values, you create space for the things that truly matter. This doesn't mean that you become selfish or indifferent to others' needs. It means that you recognize the limits of your time and energy and use them wisely. Part of focusing on effectiveness is learning to set boundaries and communicate them clearly. When you're trying to please everyone, you're likely to take on too much, stretch yourself too thin, and end up sacrificing your own well-being. Boundaries are essential for protecting your time, energy, and mental health. By setting clear boundaries, you let others know what you are and are not willing to do, which allows you to stay focused on your most important tasks and goals. It also helps you avoid feeling resentful or overwhelmed when others place demands on your time. In addition to setting boundaries, focusing on effectiveness requires you to develop a strong sense of self-confidence and self-worth. People pleasers often rely on external validation to feel good about themselves, but true confidence comes from within. When you are confident in your abilities and your decisions, you are less likely to be swayed by the opinions or expectations of others. You understand that your worth is not determined by how much you can do for others, but by your ability to stay true to yourself and your values. Self-confidence empowers you to make decisions that align with your goals and to trust that you are making the right choices, even if they don't please everyone around you. Another important aspect of focusing on effectiveness is learning to manage your time and energy efficiently. People pleasers often find themselves overcommitted and constantly busy, yet They may feel like they're not making much progress. This is because they're spending too much time on tasks that don't move them forward or contribute to their personal or professional growth. To be effective, you need to be intentional about how you spend your time and energy. This means prioritizing tasks that are aligned with your goals and letting go of tasks or commitments that don't add value. One of the most important steps to focusing on effectiveness is learning to let go of the need for approval. When you're constantly seeking approval from others, you give away your power and allow others to dictate your actions and decisions. But when you focus on effectiveness, you take back that power. You become the one who decides what's important, what's worth your time, and what will move you closer to your goals. Approval may come as a byproduct of your effectiveness, but it's no longer the driving force behind your actions. Focusing on effectiveness also means embracing imperfection. People pleasers often strive for perfection, thinking that if they do everything perfectly, they will be liked and accepted. But perfection is an unrealistic and unattainable goal, and it often leads to unnecessary stress and anxiety. Effectiveness, on the other hand, is about progress, not perfection. It's about taking action, learning from mistakes, and continuing to move forward. When you focus on being effective rather than perfect, you free yourself from the pressure of trying to meet unrealistic expectations, and you give yourself permission to grow and evolve. Finally, focusing on effectiveness over people-pleasing allows you to build stronger, more authentic relationships. When you're constantly trying to please others, you may find yourself in relationships that are one-sided or based on unrealistic expectations. But when you focus on being effective, you attract people who respect your boundaries, value your contributions, and support your growth. These are the kinds of relationships that are built on mutual respect and trust, and they are far more fulfilling and sustainable than relationships based on people-pleasing. In conclusion, shifting your focus from people-pleasing to effectiveness is a powerful step towards living a more fulfilling, balanced, and purposeful life. It's about prioritizing your own well-being, making intentional choices that align with your values, and letting go of the need for constant approval from others. By focusing on effectiveness, you not only protect your energy and mental health, but you also position yourself for greater success and satisfaction in both your personal and professional life. It's a mindset shift that empowers you to take control of your life and to live with greater purpose and intention. Effectiveness allows you to give your best self to the world because it stems from intentional living and aligning your actions with your purpose. When you operate from a place of effectiveness, you're not just going through the motions or reacting to the demands and expectations of others. You're deliberately choosing to invest your time, energy, and talents where they will make the most impact. This means not only excelling in your personal and professional life, but also contributing to the world in a way that reflects your true potential and values. Effectiveness isn't about being busy for the sake of being busy. It's about being purposeful in everything you do. Too often we fall into the trap of thinking that the more we do, the more productive or successful we'll be. We say yes to too many things, take on more responsibilities than we can handle, and fill our schedules with activities that don't move us forward. However, true effectiveness comes from doing less, but with more focus. It's about prioritizing tasks that matter, letting go of the distractions, and recognizing that quality always beats quantity when it comes to how we spend our time and energy. When you live effectively, you create the space to show up as your best self. Instead of being weighed down by unnecessary obligations or being driven by external pressures, you operate from a place of clarity and purpose. You're able to engage fully in the tasks that are most meaningful to you, which in turn leads to better results. Whether it's in your work, relationships, or personal development, effectiveness allows you to be fully present, focused, and intentional in all you do. This level of focus naturally enhances your performance and helps you deliver your best work, making a meaningful contribution to those around you. Living with effectiveness also means aligning your goals and values with your actions. Many people find themselves frustrated or unsatisfied because they're working hard, but not getting closer to what truly matters to them. Effectiveness bridges that gap. It's about consistently asking yourself, is this getting me closer to the life I want to create? If the answer is no, then it's time to pivot. Being effective means that everything you do serves a greater purpose. And this sense of alignment gives you a powerful sense of fulfillment and satisfaction. Being effective also means understanding that you can't pour from an empty cup. Self-care becomes non-negotiable when you focus on effectiveness. In order to give your best self to the world, you must first take care of yourself. This means ensuring that your own needs, whether they're physical, emotional, or mental, are met. Too often, people-pleasing tendencies lead to burnout because we neglect our own well-being in favor of trying to meet the needs of others. However, when you prioritize self-care and personal well-being, you're able to recharge and show up more fully for the people and causes that matter to you. Furthermore, effectiveness allows you to create boundaries that protect your time and energy. Setting boundaries is essential for giving your best self because it enables you to focus on what matters most without being pulled in multiple directions. When you don't set clear boundaries, you may find yourself overcommitted, stretched too thin, and unable to give your best effort to any one task. On the other hand, when you set boundaries, you gain clarity on where to direct your energy and how to say no to distractions. This means you can devote your time to the tasks and relationships that truly align with your purpose. Another way effectiveness brings out your best self is by encouraging continuous improvement. When you focus on being effective, you recognize that growth and learning are ongoing processes. You don't settle for good enough because you understand that striving for excellence allows you to continuously evolve. Whether it's learning new skills, seeking feedback, or reflecting on your experiences, effectiveness requires you to keep pushing yourself to improve. This dedication to growth not only benefits you, but also allows you to make a greater impact on others. By becoming the best version of yourself, you inspire those around you to do the same. Moreover, when you focus on effectiveness, you become more resilient and adaptable. Life is full of challenges, and sometimes things don't go as planned. However, an effective mindset enables you to navigate setbacks with grace because you're not just reacting to circumstances, you're making intentional decisions about how to move forward. Resilience comes from knowing that you have the power to adjust your approach, learn from your mistakes, and continue striving toward your goals. This kind of resilience is invaluable as it allows you to bounce back from adversity stronger and more capable than before. Ultimately, effectiveness allows you to give your best self to the world because it transforms the way you approach your life. Rather than feeling overwhelmed or scattered, you gain a sense of control and purpose. You're able to identify what truly matters and dedicate your time and energy to those areas. You operate with intention, which naturally leads to more meaningful and impactful work. You show up more fully in your relationships because you're not bogged down by stress or distractions. And most importantly, you live in alignment with your values, knowing that you are contributing your best self to the world. In conclusion, effectiveness is a powerful tool that allows you to live with purpose, clarity, and focus. By prioritizing what truly matters, taking care of yourself, setting boundaries, and striving for continuous improvement, you create the space to bring your best self to everything you do. This not only enhances your personal fulfillment, but also enables you to make a meaningful impact on the world around you. When you live effectively, you're not just existing, you're thriving, and you're giving the best of who you are to the world. Kindness, often viewed as an inherent quality or instinctive behavior, can sometimes be misunderstood as simply being agreeable, accommodating, or self-sacrificing. While there is nothing inherently wrong with being nice or helping others, the most impactful form of kindness is not about pleasing everyone or being available at all times. True kindness is about intentional and purposeful action, ensuring that your energy, efforts, and care are directed in a way that brings about positive change, both for others and for yourself. This redefinition of kindness as something purposeful empowers you to give from a place of strength, alignment, and clarity. When you begin to redefine kindness in this way, it transforms from a passive trait into an active, intentional practice. It becomes less about what others expect of you or how you are perceived and more about the choices you make to support, uplift, and inspire in ways that are meaningful and sustainable. Being kind doesn't mean saying yes to everything or allowing others to overstep your boundaries. It means being discerning with your kindness, understanding that in order to truly help others, you must first ensure that your own energy is aligned with your purpose. This shift in perspective highlights the importance of self-awareness and acts of kindness. Intentional kindness begins with asking yourself, what is my purpose in this situation? Am I acting out of obligation, fear, or desire to be liked? Or am I truly invested in helping this person or cause? When your actions stem from clarity and purpose, your kindness becomes far more impactful. You're no longer engaging in kindness out of a need to be accepted or validated, but rather from a genuine desire to contribute in ways that matter. It's also important to recognize that kindness doesn't always look the same. It can take the form of direct assistance, like lending a hand or offering advice, but it can also mean creating space for others to grow, even when that growth is uncomfortable. Sometimes kindness is not about solving someone else's problem, but rather helping them find the strength to solve it themselves. In this way, kindness can be about empowering others rather than rescuing them. This redefinition of kindness as intentional action also places value on boundaries. Many people associate kindness with always being available to help others, often at the expense of their own well-being. However, true kindness requires setting healthy boundaries. Boundaries ensure that your kindness is sustainable, that it comes from a place of abundance rather than depletion. Without boundaries, kindness can quickly turn into self-sacrifice, leaving you drained, resentful, and unable to continue giving. In setting boundaries, you protect your energy and prioritize your own well-being, which in turn allows you to continue being kind in a more meaningful way. When you give yourself permission to say no to things that don't serve your higher purpose or that exhaust you, you ensure that your yes is given wholeheartedly and with intention. This not only benefits you, but also makes your acts of kindness more genuine and effective for the people you are helping. Redefining kindness as intentional action also involves acknowledging the impact of your efforts. Sometimes acts of kindness can be grand gestures, but more often than not, they are small, everyday actions that ripple outward in ways you may not even notice. A word of encouragement, a small favor, or even simply holding space for someone in their time of need can have a profound effect. When you approach kindness with purpose, you realize that even these seemingly small actions matter. You don't have to do everything, you just have to do something with meaning. Another key aspect of redefining kindness is recognizing that it's not about people pleasing. Too often we confuse kindness with the need to be liked or accepted by others. But kindness that is rooted in people pleasing is ultimately hollow. It's driven by fear or insecurity rather than a genuine desire to help. When you stop worrying about how others perceive you and start focusing on the real impact of your actions, your kindness becomes far more effective. You're able to give without strings attached, without the need for external validation or approval. Intentional kindness also requires a certain level of courage. Sometimes being truly kind means having difficult conversations, standing up for what's right, or making decisions that may not be popular. It may mean offering constructive criticism or setting firm boundaries when someone is overstepping. While these actions may not seem nice in the moment, they are often the kindest thing you can do in the long run, as they promote growth, respect, and mutual understanding. Moreover, kindness that is intentional and purposeful leads to more authentic relationships. When you are kind for the sake of being kind without expectation, without hidden motives, you attract people who appreciate and reciprocate that authenticity. Your relationships become built on mutual respect and understanding rather than superficial niceties or unspoken expectations. You create connections that are more meaningful because they are rooted in truth and purpose, not in obligation or pretense. In redefining kindness as intentional and purposeful action, you also make room for self-kindness. It's easy to forget that kindness must begin with how we treat ourselves. Too often, we are our own harshest critics, constantly pushing ourselves to meet unrealistic expectations or to be everything to everyone. But being kind to yourself, acknowledging your own needs, taking time to rest, and treating yourself with compassion allows you to show up more fully in the world. It's a reminder that you are worthy of the same care and consideration that you give to others. Ultimately, when you redefine kindness as intentional and purposeful action, you elevate it from a passive behavior to a powerful tool for positive change. You give from a place of strength and alignment, ensuring that your kindness has a lasting impact. You protect your energy, set healthy boundaries, and engage in actions that reflect your true values. This kind of kindness is not only more effective, but also more fulfilling. It allows you to contribute meaningfully to the world while staying true to yourself.